We've had another multiple killing this week in California, in the Santa Barbara area, involving a young man called Elliot Rodger. And I'm not saying here in a reflex action response that, oh, he was mind controlled to do that because of how you can manipulate public perception of things as a result of it. Because there's a lot more research to do, although there are parts of that story that certainly don't feel right to me, but there's more research to do. What I want to talk about today, and the information I want to share with you today, is about the potential of mind control, the systematic structure of mind control, some of the history of mind control, so that when things like this happen, and I'll be talking about some of the other mass killings as well as we go along, when something like this happens, if you don't have the background of the possibilities of mind control to get people to carry out killings and other acts, basically on your say-so, by in effect turning the assassin or the killer or whatever into little more than a software program. If you don't know that potential, then when an official story comes out saying this has happened, this is who did it, and this is why, there's really no alternative to the official story. So the media and the authorities say, this is the story, this is what's happened, this is why. And people without the background knowledge of the potential for mind control will say, well, that's what must have happened then. But in fact, there are many other possibilities, and my goodness, in the case of so many of these now infamous mass killings in the United States, there are massive probabilities that mind control was involved. I would say blatantly so in many cases. Must be a nightmare to work in now. I mean, if you're a genuine officer with genuine intent and not a psychopath, then it must be a daily nightmare for many people to work in the system as it's become. Because the system is the point, really. The idea they want us to believe is that the police are there to serve the public. They're not. Individuals within the police might try to do that, the genuine ones I'm talking about. But that's not why the police are there. It's not why law enforcement in all its forms is there. It's not why the military's there. They're there to enforce the will of that which directs and controls the system. And on one side, they are about enforcing that will through laws, that which controls the system has decided what those laws are going to be. And on the other side, to suppress and cover up any revelations that will expose those that which controls the system. And this week we've seen so many examples of both. I've got a newspaper article here, and I mean, my head just shakes all the time over this. For people around the world, we've had this massive political paedophile scandal going on. Investigations galore, it says here, by police, and there's a political inquiries and all that stuff, which is taking so long to get going, not by coincidence. And it kind of concerns the Thatcher administration in the 1980s, although it's still going on today. That's what they don't want us to realise. But the story I'm talking about this week is this one. It's about a bloke called Willie Whitelaw. Willie Whitelaw was Home Secretary in the Thatcher administration and Deputy Prime Minister. And a number of sources, shall we say, over the years have told me that Willie Whitelaw was a paedophile. And so it makes absolute sense, this story, that he is said to have covered up the exposure of paedophile activity and told the police they weren't going to investigate it. Says here, detectives are investigating claims that former Conservative Home Secretary William Whitelaw ordered police to drop an investigation into a VIP paedophile ring. This is the latest one, you see. Here's Willie Whitelaw, Home Secretary, being accused here with evidence that he covered up this paedophile ring to stop it coming out, which involved, famous people, rich and famous people. And when he finished being Home Secretary in the 80s, he was replaced by a guy called Leon Britton as Home Secretary. And Leon Britton is now part of an investigation into why how he was given a dossier of names of VIP paedophiles by an MP called Geoffrey Dickens, and then that dossier went missing. Do coincidences happen like that? Maybe they do. But here's what the story says. Whitelaw allegedly told a senior Metropolitan Police boss to quash a year-long investigation into a gang accused of abusing 40 children, the youngest of whom was 6. The alleged intervention came in 1980 after a newspaper revealed that the country's chief prosecutor was considering 350 offences against the gang, including allegations that it obtained young boys for politicians, prominent lawyers, and film stars. Goes on, the report was published in a newspaper called the Evening News, a London newspaper, which revealed that the police had passed evidence to the Director of Public Prosecutions, which decides if a prosecution is going to go ahead, and that up to 12 men could face trial for procuring boys and sexual assault. Procuring children for the rich and famous, particularly the political classes in London, is a major industry, and can generate tremendous amounts of money. Ask Jimmy Savile, that's what he was doing, among much else. So anyway, Jeff Edwards, the journalist who wrote the story, claims that just days after it was published, he was summoned by police to an interview and threatened with prosecution under the Official Secrets Act. It's supposed to protect the security, so they claim. It's supposed to protect the security of the country. It's protecting the security of the system, the security of VIP paedophiles. It was the same authority that gave us the most outrageous fairy story in relation to the events of 9/11. And when so many lies and manipulations and fakery has been exposed in all these events before, it would be naivety in the extreme to then expect that when something comes along like Paris, that the authorities are telling you the truth about it. Now, it's too early to start going into great detail about this happened and this is why it was and all that, but you can pick out the themes of events within what happened in Paris and connect it to other events that have actually been revealed with the passage of hindsight, time and research to have been a pack of lies. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq is a classic. So it's extremely encouraging to see on social media and in other ways, people in much larger numbers are saying, hold on a minute, we're not just accepting this by reflex action. And that is what is necessary if we're actually going to stop being scammed by these terrorist events into giving more and more of our freedoms away or accepting those freedoms being taken away. Now, people who criticize those who question. My goodness me, has anyone got a mirror? I should have a look if that's what you're doing. They might criticize the conclusions they come to, but asking questions, that's what we should be doing. And those that criticize people for asking questions and not accepting the official version of events, they come out with kind of all-encompassing one-liners like, they say it's all a hoax. Well, some of these things are hoaxes and some of them are not. There are many different ways to set up something, to set up a problem, which you can then offer the solution to and change society in the way that you wouldn't have been able to without creating the problem in the first place to justify the change in law and the way that society is run and controlled. So, problem, reaction, solution, the technique that's also been given the name a false flag, when you create a problem covertly and then offer the solutions to the problems you've created. They're not all hoaxes. There are many different ways that this scenario is played out, and to see more and more people grasping, at least to the point of considering the concept, the possibility that those in the shadows are, through those in the public eye, creating problems on purpose with absolutely the goal of changing society as a result of the problem. To grasp that and start to grasp that, another thing we need to consider and start to understand is the scale of absolute bloody evil that is behind all this.